We recording? Call to order the meeting of the Greenwood Common Council on Monday, August the 5th. If you would stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. After the pledge, please remain standing. We'll be led in prayer this evening by Doug Bohall, pastor of Honey Creek Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Well, God, as we take this moment before this meeting tonight, we just want to pause and express gratitude for another day that you've given us, for its blessings, for the strength to face its challenges. We thank you for this community that across the years we've found to be a good place to be born and grow up and educated, to work and to serve. And as we come to this meeting tonight, Lord, we're reminded that when we have the call to serve, it results in a higher level of accountability. And so I pray for this council tonight that you'll help them in their decision making to keep in mind the welfare of the whole community, regardless of our differences, regardless of our religious preferences, our partisan preferences, the color of our skin, or any other quality that causes us to divide ourselves between us and them. Help us to be we as we work together. So add your blessing to the work of this council tonight and days to come. Let it be so, we pray. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call.
Bedford. Here. Campbell.
Here.
Gibson. Here. Hill.
Here.
Hopper.
Here.
Lexi.
Here.
Here. Moan. And Williams.
Here. And we do have a quorum. All of us should receive copies of the minutes from our regular meeting of July the 15th. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Lexi, second. Second by Ms. Manship. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, then roll call on the minutes.
Bedford. Aye. Campbell.
Aye.
Gibson. Aye. Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Manship. Aye. Moan.
Aye.
And Williams.
Aye. Minutes are approved on a vote of 9-0. Reports, anything from Corporation Council?
Corporation Council has nothing to report.
Anything in the controller at this time?
Nothing at this time.
Any committee or board reports? All right, seeing none, then Mr. Nelson. Turn it over to you.
I believe on the revised agenda, HWC Engineering presenting the comprehensive plan was listed under committee and board reports. Would you like to have us present at this time?
Yes.
Or, perfect. So I'll introduce Adam. Adam has been working with Greenwood planning staff on the Greenwood comprehensive plan, which I know by now you've all heard about. And if you haven't, I haven't done a very good job of promoting it. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Adam with HWC. This is meant to be informational. So this is going to be an informational time on our process with the draft comprehensive plan. It is available on our website as well as a survey. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Adam for him to present.
Thanks, Gabe, and thank you all for letting me come give a little update. Gabe asked me to read the whole plan, but I thought it'd be a little shorter this evening.
Thank you very much.
Just a real brief overview, but again, happy to answer any questions or comments you may have, and certainly happy to talk offline outside of the meeting. But just a couple things since our last update. I was at your meeting back on January 17th, so certainly been several months. Since that time, we've continued obviously developing plan content, but also increased our community outreach and engagement efforts. So we had what we call the Big Ideas Open House in February, where we shared our preliminary recommendations, got feedback on those, made a number of edits to plan goals and recommendations for some of the focus areas that I'll talk a little bit about here. Had a couple steering committee meetings. We reviewed and edited an initial draft with staff and the steering committee and turned those edits into the public draft that was shared on July 5th. And then just a couple of weeks ago, presented to the community at the library. We had about 60 people there on a rainy night, so appreciated their turnout and dedication. You know, some of the key questions or comments we got at that meeting were related to funding and cost of the various recommendations in the plan. Questions about how to ensure the plan stays relevant and is used and updated going forward. An interest in certainly maintaining existing development and infrastructure and not just focusing on building new. And then also heard some concerns about a Stop 18 extension that's in the plan and kind of broader neighborhood connectivity in general. There we go. So just in terms of how the plan is organized, there's 11 chapters and a couple appendices. You know, executive summary, introduction, background, and community engagement kind of all build towards and tell the story of why the plan was being updated right now and the process we went through and what we heard through that process. But really the majority of the recommendations are reflected in chapters 5 through 10. So the city's 4 pillars, infrastructure, quality of life, public safety and economic development, with the addition of land use. And then that chapter 10, which are the focus areas. So there's 6 of those that were identified across the city because of their importance. Certainly either currently or for the future vitality of the city and kind of the unique opportunity that they represent. Like I said, I'm not going to go through every one of these topic chapters. Happy to answer specific questions, but one of the key components of the comprehensive plan is certainly the future land use map, and this being used to hopefully guide decisions related to development petitions, rezonings, and things like that, certainly by the Planning Commission, and then ultimately you all as you're tasked with those decisions. The land use recommendations focus both on infill and redevelopment of vacant and underutilized parcels across the community, as well as new growth to the east and south. Certainly providing some more specific or breaking down the land use recommendations on the east side as compared to the city's current comprehensive plan, which classifies much of that area as land use. So the orange you'll see on the map here is recommended for mixed residential development in the future. So that could include things like single family homes, but also some more varied products, duplexes, townhomes, patio homes, and things like that. The yellow on the map represents single family development. Certainly a number of those are the city's existing neighborhoods. Purple is industrial, red is commercial, and then you see the 6 focus areas are grayed out and numbered there. Another really important piece of the comprehensive plan is the future thoroughfare map. This creates the legal justification for requiring right-of-way submittal and developer made roadway improvements. So certainly heard a number of concerns about transportation network, traffic congestion through our community engagement efforts, and put a lot of focus here. As we look to, the city looks to improve the transportation network. A lot of that is in the form of additional connections. So that's the dash lines on this map. I apologize on the screen, they're a little tough to read. But that's not to say the city is going to be, going out to survey and acquire right of way. This is as properties would develop or redevelop, then those connections need to be made at that time. Also, this planning level, so as we look certainly on the east side and some of the developing areas of the community, it's more about connecting a point A to B than a specific alignment. Certainly, there's going to be additional engineering and study needed for these, but we do think it's really important as, again, the city looks to improve the transportation network. There's a focus on additional connections so that that traffic can be distributed across the network. So one of the things we've done is included more connections and then also changed the functional classification. Of those, actually, we've recommended more maybe become less significant kind of arterial roadways and more collectors as there's more roads in the network as compared to what's reflected on the current map. So in terms of those 6 focus areas, they're the Greenwood Park Mall area, Old Town, Pleasant Creek Airport Parkway area, a new mixed-use center on East Main Street, the Main Street kind of welcome corridor, so what we're calling from the interchange into town or into downtown, and then the Worthsville interchange area. So just kind of briefly on each of these, as we look at the mall, and there's going to be some recurring themes here, certainly, focused on infill development on essentially what are underutilized parking areas. So most of our focus was on Simon-owned parcels. Interesting thing about the mall is most of the additional anchor or the department anchors own their kind of footprint and a portion of the parking lot. So Von Maur owns it, its building and parking lot and Pennies and so on. So, knowing that they obviously need to protect those parking lots for their customers, we were looking at the Simon parcels and some opportunity to kind of increase the value and vibrancy of those, as well as certainly pulling green space and better incorporating public spaces into the mall area, as well as bicycle and pedestrian connections. For Old Town Greenwood, again, similarly, how to develop or redevelop what are a number of surface parking lots, but certainly understand parking concerns in the downtown area and the need to certainly replace any parking that would be lost due to development. We think there's opportunities for some structured parking, either integrated into new development or redevelopment projects, or potentially more formal shared agreements with some of the existing parking lots. Understanding the Pleasant Creek floodway or floodplain comes through this area. Again, not to say buildings in the floodplain should be purchased or demolished, but if they are damaged beyond repair, looking to suggest those not be rebuilt and expand the Greenway corridor, expand trail connections and pedestrian connectivity kind of across the downtown. For the Airport Parkway area, key recommendation is connecting the 2 pieces of Airport Parkway, certainly. The northern stub on the south of County Line Road that services the airport itself, and then the southern stub just north of Main Street near Oak and Barrel, providing a really important north-south connection, relieving hopefully some traffic off of Emerson, and then using the additional area kind of west of what would be the extended Airport Parkway to again create a mixture of housing units, expand the grid into that area. So it could be townhomes, duplexes and things like that, but scaling down to the yellow to reflect existing surrounding neighborhood context. Again, Pleasant Creek floodplain comes through this area, so using that as a greenway opportunity and ultimately trail connection from the downtown could go all the way up to County Line and certainly hit the park and school there on the northwest corner of the picture. For the new mixed-use kind of town center on East Main Street, we think this is a really important opportunity Somewhere along the East Main corridor. So we've kind of developed this concept using the property that's already zoned for multifamily development there to start to transition. This concept could kind of slide further east, but understanding a need for neighborhood serving commercial uses over here for existing residents as the area continues to develop. But then also mixed use, walkable development, activity center, entertainment, recreation. So connection with potential park space here. There's a really incredible wooded area. The school corporation owns the property on the northwest corner, and how all of this can be integrated and connected with a trail network. In terms of the Main Street Welcome Corridor, again, understanding this is a special gateway into the community, so focusing on increased aesthetics and access. The interchange is going to be rebuilt by NDOT here in the not too distant future. I think programmed for 2028. So using that as a real opportunity to create some additional improvements along the Main Street corridor may necessitate some town or city, led intersection improvements at Cheek, South Park Road, Commerce Parkway to the east. And then again, as property owners would redevelop or make reinvestment in properties, opportunities to clean up some of the access curb cuts, make it a safer and more aesthetically pleasing entry into Greenwood. And then finally, in terms of the Worthsville interchange, I think certainly using the interstate access and visibility to attract what we're calling destination, commercial, and hospitality office uses. I think you all have done a fantastic job, and obviously making the corridor investment, and then also protecting that investment and waiting for development that will really create a destination for Greenwood and will be certainly important going into the future. So utilizing that Worthsville road frontage and interstate frontage for those potential commercial businesses, but also an opportunity here for a smaller mixed-use town center integral to the development, and then transitioning to residential use as you move towards the east, where there are a number of existing homes, and then certainly on the north side of Worthsville Road up there where there have already been some approved residential developments. So, what that all means in terms of key initiatives, we've seen certainly consistent themes through our engagement efforts, and we think those have translated into the plan, and there's a number of topics or goals really that kind of cross some of those key pillars and are emphasized or re-emphasized in the focus area plans. So things like continuing transportation improvements, certainly to enhance safety and reduce congestion, improvements to the bicycle, pedestrian, trail network throughout the community, supporting redevelopment, reinvestment to maintain vibrancy and value of property, growing public safety in conjunction with population and job increases, using new growth areas to really accomplish some of the goals related to more diverse housing and more diverse jobs. And then investing in utility infrastructure really is a primary mechanism to guide and manage the pace of growth. Again, the comprehensive plan is adopted as a resolution, so it's used as a guide. It is not the legally binding ordinance like the city's UDO, but the UDO is one of the primary mechanisms to enforce the broader goals and recommendations in the comprehensive plan. So coming out of this process, encourage you to review the Unified Development Ordinance and zoning map. And with that, we've started to kind of look at that document and the zoning map as well to identify where some of the areas are that will need some additional review and potential zoning changes to better emphasize or implement plan goals. So that's things like removing barriers to downtown redevelopment, removing barriers to mall area redevelopment. A lot of that area is zoned obviously for automobile oriented commercial use, but as and the plan encourages more walkable mixed use development that may be closer to the street, some of those larger commercial setbacks are going to be a barrier to realizing that investment. Creating a mixed use district Old Town allows mixed use right now. There's some provisions to include it in the commercial medium, commercial large districts. There's not kind of a purely mixed use district. Might mean you're gonna be getting more PUD proposals. So if you can create a district that says, here's the city's vision for these areas, here's the standards we expect, that could help to realize that. Again, things like, allowing more housing types in more districts, even if that's just a residential district or two where duplexes or townhomes could be permitted. And then exploring things like additional incentives to preserve existing trees and natural areas on the site. One of the goals is, better incorporating existing natural amenities into the design of future developments. Increasing mechanisms, give the city more teeth to enforce access management. Again, cleaning up some of the transportation or corridor issues. And then some zoning map updates to come with this. I think already we see some issues where the zoning districts don't necessarily match what the existing use is. This is more just about cleaning up nonconformity. So if the existing use is the planned and proposed future use, let's make sure that the zoning aligns with that, so those property owners can make investments and upkeep their properties without running into zoning challenges. In terms of where we go from here, we would appreciate any comments or questions you have. I'll say ideally this week. We are looking to share a revised draft, what we call the adoption draft, next Monday. Obviously, you have opportunity to comment and certainly want to hear public comment through the Planning Commission public hearing. And again, you have certainly every opportunity to speak and inform this plan until it is adopted. But the sooner we could get those, the more it would help us and make sure they're reflected as we begin that adoption process, which right now we're tentatively, or we're planning on attending the August 26th Planning Commission meeting to have the public hearing. We'll see what happens there. That may be certainly maybe continued into September, and then we would be coming to the council after it receives a Planning Commission recommendation. That's it for me. Again, happy to answer any questions now or at any point. Continue.
Thank you, Adam. Does anyone have any questions for Adam at the present? So right now, the plan is to have it before the Plan Commission on the last Monday of August. And if it passes, assuming that goes in schedule, if it passes, it gets approval from the Plan Commission, would come to the council then at our first meeting in September. Would that be correct?
That's ultimately.
Is that the plan?
Yes, it can be, if we receive a lot of feedback at the public hearing, or there's things that still need correction that come out of that, I may recommend that we delay it from that very first September meeting.
Okay.
But it would be early September would be the ideal goal, would be your first meeting in September.
And then I've never quite got it figured out myself, but when things come to us from the Plan Commission, like a rezoning, it is it only comes to us once for one vote. Would this be that, or would this be the normal process?
Correct. You would really only need one vote. I know sometimes there's like a fiscal report, there's an introduction, and there's 3 meetings after that. This could be adopted at that next meeting.
At the next meeting. So it only requires the one vote then, from the council.
From council, and I'll check with our legal team to make sure that Greenwood doesn't have something that's different, but Adam, is that your understanding?
Yeah, and similar to all matters that are going to be coming to you from the Planning Commission, you have 90 days to act on them per state statute.
Okay. I just wanted to publicly make that clear as to what the process is.
Yeah, correct. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, this is an opportunity to set aside for members of the public that were here or online to address the council concerning items that are on tonight's agenda. And since there's really only one actionable item on tonight's agenda, if you'd like to speak concerning ordinance 2421, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, or if you're online, speak up. Sir, are you wanting to speak to the council about ordinance 24?
I was actually gonna embarrass myself and see if that was regarding the comprehensive plan. If it's
No.
not, I'm gonna go sit down.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna go
There's
sit
no action to be taken on the
Okay.
comprehensive plan for a month or so.
down. Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing none, then moving on, there are no ordinance or resolutions, there's none under notice of intent to consider, none under first reading, and none under second reading. So new business, introduction, new ordinances, resolutions, ordinance number 24-21.
An ordinance amending the 2024 salary ordinance, common council ordinance number 23-33 to change the title of the utility office manager position in the finance department, sponsored by Gibson and Manship.
Good evening.
That's right.
So this is coming out of my deputy controller left in May, and we're having trouble replacing that person. And so a lot of my time was being spent on administrative tasks with staff. The utility billing office manager already does a lot of that for the people in the front office. And basically, the intent is to have her take over also doing a lot of those things for the AP and payroll staff. That would include time off requests, scheduling things, disciplinary issues. I would still maintain oversight, but that then lets me get back to focusing on the financial aspect of things. My hope is that it will also help in recruiting a deputy controller, in that accounting people tend not to be great with the people side of things. So I'm hoping that maybe that'll help me find somebody.
All right, any questions for Mr. Wright? There is a request for suspension of the rules through second reading, so I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules through first reading. Motion by Ms. Gibson, second. Second by Mr. Hopper. Any discussion on suspension of the rules through first reading on ordinance 2421? Hearing none, then roll call on suspension of the rules through first reading.
Betron. Aye. Campbell.
Aye.
Gibson. Aye. Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Manship. Aye. Moan.
Aye.
And Williams.
Aye.
Rules are suspended through first reading. I have a motion on ordinance 2421 first reading. Motion by Ms. Gibson, second. Second by Mr. Lexi. Any discussion? Questions for Mr. Wright? Seeing none, then roll call. Ordinance 2421 first reading.
Campbell.
Aye.
Gibson. Aye. Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Manship. Aye. Moan.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
And Betron.
Ordinance 2421 passes first reading on a vote of 9-0. I have a motion for suspension through second reading by Mr. Hopper. Second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion on suspension? Hearing none, then roll call on suspension of the rules through second reading of ordinance 2421.
Gibson. Aye. Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Manship. Aye. Moan.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Betron. Aye. And Campbell.
Aye. Rules are suspended, vote of 9-0. We have a motion on second reading. Motion, Mr. Hopper, second by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion? Hearing none, then roll call. Ordinance 2421 second reading.
Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Manship. Aye. Moan.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Betron. Aye. Campbell.
Aye.
And Gibson. Aye.
Ordinance 2421 passes second reading on a vote of 9-0. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Miscellaneous business. This is a second opportunity for members of the public to address the council this time concerning items that are not on tonight's agenda. And if you would like to speak in regards to the comprehensive plan, you're welcome to do so at this time. And there is a 5-minute time limit per person and a 20-minute time limit per topic.
Brad Middleton, 1347 Sussex Court. Didn't think I'd be back here this soon, so nice to see you guys again. I did want to speak on the comprehensive plan, and while I do live in that neighborhood, right in the states that will butt up to Stop 18 if extended through Freedom Park, that's not the majority of my concern. The majority of my concern is the comprehensive plan process and the safety of citizens. And so if you look through the comprehensive plan, what I passed out, is I went through the comprehensive plan, and there are dozens of items that I noted where people spoke out, or the comprehensive plan speaks to wanting to expand trails, increase safety, things like that. What you won't see anywhere in there other than on the map is extending Stop 18 for any reason. So I've gotten explanations that it makes it more convenient for people in neighborhoods on the west side of Honey Creek to get to Freedom Park. I've gotten reasons that people don't like walking to the soccer fields from the parking lot, so adding parking along that Stop 18 would make it more convenient. While I can see both of those points, I don't think that the pros outweigh the cons when looking at that, as Stop 18 will go right directly next to recreational fields that children play on. And so if you look at that just on its own, not the tennis and basketball courts, not the dog park, not the open fields and other things like that that would be impacted with Stop 18 right next to it, I just don't see the reasoning in it. And when you look at the comprehensive plan and how it was pitched to the community that we're going to get feedback and incorporate that, it's mentioned in the comprehensive plan from feedback that citizens don't want that they want to keep Stop 18 where it's at. And so if that's the purpose of the exercise, I don't quite understand why it's still in there, and there's no mention as to the reasoning why we're having Stop 18 proposed through there. And so I hope that that can be reconsidered as you go through it this week. I know I emailed out to all of the council members. I emailed the parks director, the mayor, the planning director, the folks who put together the plan. And unfortunately, I got 3 emails back, and only one of those was actually my representative. So I hope that this can be taken under consideration as we get to the final stages of this. Freedom Park, as it's stated, is a regional asset to the south side of Indianapolis. And I think running a road through it would be a disservice to everybody. And I think there's better ways to connect maybe Cutsinger to land expansion to the park or something like that without going into that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Brad.
Mark Wood, 405 thank you for having us here tonight. Just like to make some comments on the comprehensive plan, mostly based on our experience with Walker Commons, Walker Farm Development, as it did touch on almost every aspect that's in the plan, zoning, the UDO, and the comprehensive plan itself. The comprehensive plan is a central document for managing growth of our cities. The plan addresses growth opportunities controlled by the zoning regulations and the unified development ordinances. However, the plan does not provide a means to specify or resolve the risk and impact development may have on residents and existing neighborhoods. And this certainly became a bit of a common at Walker Farms. Had some ideas that might have solved a lot of that and made everybody's life a lot easier, and just share those tonight. Solve the problems the following are offered for inclusion in the comprehensive plan. Zoning regulations on UDO as may be appropriate. Incorporation of public input into the UDO and zoning requirements to reflect the desires of the established neighborhoods and the current residents of Greenwood, as just mentioned. You know, there was unanimous opposition to what happened at Walker Farms. If that's known in advance, wouldn't that simplify saying, we're not going to do this, let's find another way up front instead of after the fact. Provide a cost benefit analysis of public-private developments prior to approval. We're familiar with the Madison. I mean, you can see it's on the corner. Is it successful? Is it unsuccessful? I don't know. Hopefully it was. But if we knew what it looked like going in, and this is for you as well, before you vote. If you knew what was gonna be going in, where's the break even, how long, how much occupancy, whatever metric. Knowing that before you would approve it, could be really helpful. I don't know how much the city agencies talk to each other. Do you know all that before you vote? I don't know. We do. Provide the status and neighborhood services, schools, police, fire, etc. The impact the new developments would have on these. So this was huge, if you recall, back in the days of Washington Commons. We had a big turnout. Everybody was worried about traffic. They were worried about student to teacher ratios, police to resident ratio, fire department, all this stuff. And it was generally said, yeah, it's gonna be fine. But it was never really said, yeah, our ratio is gonna go from 20-1 to 22-1. And because of that, we're gonna hire a couple more teachers at this time period using this debt method to fund it, and they will work at these classes in this school which are available. Clarity like that would make all this go so much easier. I think it'd make it easier for you. It would certainly make it more understandable for us. So I'd ask that you go ahead and include that. And then finally, maybe some type of public accounting before you approve a new development, be a school, a new subdivision, apartment complex, whatever it may be, another joint plan of the financial status going into it. And like I mentioned before, what's it gonna cost, where we're gonna get break even, those types of things. Where will the proposed money come from, what debt instruments do we have to issue to cover it, when do we expect to break even, those kinds of things. All of this, I think, would make the comprehensive plan easier to understand for the residents of Greenwood, possibly even somewhat for yourselves up here on the council. In conclusion, I'd just like to say, comprehensive plan should serve the needs of all the residents, current residents and future residents, by identifying the impact of development or not developing certain parts of Greenwood or annexation of the land. We have on the city, I'm sorry. In fact, we'll have on the city and on the people who call Greenwood home. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council at this time?
Hello, thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Tim Brayton, 1524 Anand Court. I also want to talk about Stop 18 proposed extension. So my confusion is the change between the previous version of the common plan and this latest draft that we've seen. The previous version of the common plan, of course, we knew that there was a proposal for the extension of Stop 18 all along. There's even infrastructure already in the park that would lead to that. But the previous draft of the plan had that road turning south and exiting the park on Cotzinger Road, instead of this new proposed plan that takes it all the way over to Honey Creek. And in my view, I think that makes this more of a thoroughfare. It makes it more of a road that people will take a shortcut through that park, which, to the points made earlier, would decrease the safety of the people in the park, because we feel like that is now a thoroughfare instead of just a means to access the park. And so having that road turn south right next to the fire department would allow for the access to any new expansion of the park, in my opinion, and increase public safety and accomplish all the same goals. And we don't really understand why that change was made. At the open house previously on the 24th, it was said that was to make connection to the cross street on the other side of Honey Creek Road, but the current plan, the road doesn't line up with the street across 100 yards off from that. So I'm a little confused as to why that happened. And my proposal would be that if we want to increase access to the park, let's make sure that those are park roads and very slow speed park roads, so that it would keep the safety there, and have that road exit out onto Cutzinger next to the fire department, as was previously planned in a previous draft.
Right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Anyone else? All right, thank you all very much. Any miscellaneous business from the council? Anything from Corporation Council in the last 15 minutes?
Nope.
Anything from the controller?
Nothing.
Anything from the mayor?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, councilors. I want to thank you all for your time tonight. I just want to address the plan, especially as we're talking about Stop 18 and continuing through Freedom Park. If we look back into history, 17 years ago, that road was put into place. When the park was designed, it was originally designed to have that road cut through there. The underlayment is already in place for that park, or for that road through the park. It's made in a way such as it has enough curves, it has enough turns, that it'll slow traffic down, that it will allow traffic to get in through the entire park. There are places we are planning on building new facilities in the west side of the park that will be more easily accessible from Honey Creek Road. And also, we've talked about putting in some pieces of equipment that would help slow the traffic down, not speed bumps, but speed humps to slow the traffic down and to keep it at a normal traffic speed. That's been in there for over 17 years. I know there have been people that have talked tonight about not wanting it there. They've been involved in this for a few years. Some of them been on the council before. They knew it was coming. If they didn't want it to come, if they didn't want to be near it, they shouldn't have bought a house near it. But that has been there, that is there, and I would encourage you to listen to the engineers who have studied this, who have made these plans, who understand these plans much better. That's why we put all this money into making this new plan to understand all of that. And I think we need to continue with the plan that is presented through the engineering department and through the engineering company that we've hired. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And with that, we are adjourned.